Good evening. Welcome to Retro Gaming Revival Live. I am Triangle Face, and I'm joined with Blunners. How are you doing, Blunners?
Yes, I'm really good, everyone. I'm literally just gifting a membership now in the chat to see who gets it. I'm hoping it's you, Mike Halton, as you're in there. So it's just
Done.
processing. Yeah. So once that comes through, hopefully it's you that's won it. So yes, and
well, unless it's me, I might get it. No, it's
oh,
Mike. It's gone to Mike.
It's gone to Mike. So there you go, Mike. There's a nice little gift for you.
Cool. And we have a guest this evening. We've got Ankit Dhillon from Spiele Studios. Welcome.
Hey guys, and last moment spontaneous 2 Gamescom tickets. The codes will be sent to in the chat, so I don't know how to give it away, but I'll just write it in the private chat to you, and you guys choose 2 people through this live event.
Oh wow, thank you very much. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Full access pass, it gives them access to the industry event, which is only for journalists and game industry. So it will be the full access.
Wow.
Wow. Thanks so much. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. They just need to, of course, vote for Spiele as the best studio and write their favorite game. Yeah.
Excellent. Cool.
So yeah. We'll get on to that.
Yeah, we'll get on to that. Thanks very much for coming on.
That's my way to get some good favor from the audience.
Excellent. Well, that's excellent. Yeah, we'll get on to Last Spartan and talk about the process around that and how things are going. But before we sort of get to that, we'll get to know you a little bit more as a gamer. And so our first topic of the evening is just your early gaming memories. So what sort of things got you into gaming? And what sort of consoles did you have growing up?
Would have to blame my late father, so when in the first grade got the best marks, like the deal was if we topped the whole school in the exam, he would get us it was actually a Chinese ripoff of NES. Because I grew up in Bangkok, and there's no real Nintendo or anything. So it's a Chinese ripoff of NES. All the cartridges were ripoff, and he got that. And of course, Mario came with it. That was the first memory I have of playing. Then, of course, my older brother, he introduced to Contra, all these 2-player games. We tried to beat Contra, and you couldn't save throughout, so you have to start from the beginning to end. And he would scold me a lot because I'm clumsy and I'm so young. I was about how old is it? Like you are in LKG, UKG, so 5 years.
Yeah. So he was doing all the work, and you were just
carrying me in the Contra. And one game I can't remember the name. It was before the game you would make the whole layout of the map. You'll place tiles, and then it's 2 tanks on both ends. One is controlled by other player, and you fight. It's very simple premise, like you do tank fight, but it's the way you place tiles. Each person gets 1 turn to place 1 tile and make the map. Very obscure game. I think it was one of those modified ROMs. That's why I don't even remember the name of it. Because all of our cartridges were, sometimes they came as a chip. There was no covering to it. So Zelda, I never got to play Zelda. Every time I would buy a cartridge with Zelda photo, inside will turn 10,000 games. The Chinese thing.
So I used to have a few of those on Game Boy.
Yeah, but once I bought Pokemon, inside was a modified ROM of like you're playing Pikachu instead of Mario on a Mario level.
Right, okay. Not exactly Pokemon, but at least you've got a few of those.
Yes.
No, I think I had a few of the Game Boy cartridges that, like the unofficial ones, I'd often buy like in markets and stuff. I think I got one when I was on holiday in Spain. They were selling like these Nintendo cartridges, like 100 games in one on this cartridge. And as years later, someone told me that the Game Boy cartridges, that bit at the top where there's like the dip in it, if it has Nintendo written in there, that's like an official cartridge. And I checked the cartridges. The ones I had don't have Nintendo written across the front, so they are like dodgy cartridges. But they worked fine. They all worked well.
They worked, didn't they?
As a kid, I didn't even know anything. It's after growing up, I was like, oh shit, I never even played Zelda. I never played like growing up. Now I've finished. Of course, I've played Zelda, all the parts, but I'm like, oh shit, my childhood is because Contra. We really loved Contra. Contra 3 was amazing because in the co-op they made like more like bazookas and all those, but I wish we had Zelda and Pokemon. Yes, because every time we were watching Pokemon. Actually, we would not miss even a single episode of the first season of the Pokemon, so it meant a lot, but never got to play during childhood. So
I think like when I was in school, like Pokemon was probably one of the first like Japanese animes that we started getting over here, and after that we started
JRPG, right? Like the first JRPG, that Final Fantasy and Pokemon was like the Western's introduction to JRPG.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I mean, the first RPG I played like that was Final Fantasy VII, and it wasn't like I think we had them over here, but just wasn't like as popular, and that was the games that like made it really popular. Like,
what's your guys' favorite Final Fantasy? Like out of all the old to latest?
Yeah, 7 for me was always my favorite one.
The remake, or you still like the original?
I like the original, to be honest. I did have played the remake, and Ollie, he's one of our other panel members. He's not with us this evening. He's really into Final Fantasy 7 as well. He's been playing Rebirth like 140 hours or something.
60, I think it was 160. He's done.
So they're big games. I did enjoy the remake, but it's not quite the same for me.
I played Chrono Trigger. I never got to play. Actually, the Chrono Trigger, I bought again one of these cassettes. Right, we used to call them cassettes, and it was for Batman and Robin, and inside was Chrono Trigger, random.
Okay.
But I just played it, and that got me hooked to like turn-based strategy JRPG style games. Like now in my studio, we only make strategy turn-based games. So that was a welcome gift, because Chrono Trigger, I think, is the closest to Final Fantasy in my childhood I got to try out.
But I've gone back and played some of the other ones now, but 7 was the first one I played. I went back and they did like some re-releases on the PlayStation, I think, like Final Fantasy Anthology, and you could go back and play like the first 3.
Oh yeah, and 5, have you guys played the Mother series, Earthbound?
Earthbound,
Mother, like they released. I think in Europe it's called Mother or something.
Okay,
and it's Earthbound.
Earthbound never came. Earthbound, we never got, but Earthbound. It's not until later on that, like you're saying, your lovely little cartridges, you called it cassettes, until we could start getting some of them over it, then we could start playing it. Yeah, Earthbound was always one I wanted, but it didn't really come over here yet.
As a kid, I didn't get all the humor in there. So, like South Park, I love South Park. I watch it every day.
Yeah,
so, as a kid, I didn't get all the humor. And I was like, no, I want to save the world. I don't want to fight these stupid battles. But then I played it again now, like 2 years ago. And I was like, okay, this guy is like legendary, what he did. Because now I get the humor that's hidden throughout the game and the premise. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm saving the world, but while having like South Park kind of fun.
Because I remember when we were saying about JRPGs, and when Pokemon first came out over here, it was like massive. And I remember they actually had an event where you could go and take your cartridge down and get Mew added onto it. You had to take it to like a local sports center, and there was like queues for miles of people waiting to get their cartridges put in. Then it would update your cartridge for you and put 151 Pokemon on there. So it's mad. It was massive, that game over here.
I feel so jealous to the Western people. Growing up, I was like, we don't have Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox, no presence like locally. And on the TV, we will see like there used to be on ESPN. there used to be 1 hour slot at 6 p.m. on Thursdays, where they will showcase the latest games trailers. And you know what they used to do? Some days they will just cut that show for some sports match. And that's what we tuned in to stay in touch with the gaming industry, because there is no magazine or anything in Bangkok. And it was just that ESPN. But we knew like, oh, these people are living in that area where they have Nintendo stores. They can just GameSpot, they can just go in and surrounded by games.
Yeah, we didn't realize, as I say, and over here, you don't realize how easy you've got it, if you know what I mean.
While ours was like flea markets. Yeah. You'll buy the games at a flea market.
Yeah, people used to complain a lot about games coming out in America before they came out over here. But you're talking like a couple of weeks. It was like, oh, we'd get it a few months later, but
Oh, so like US get it earlier, UK later.
Sometimes,
Japan first, Japan
and
first.
Europe even later. Like now I'm based in Berlin, so
so it'd go Japan,
Europe is the last,
America, then us last. Yeah.
Okay. Because they make, and they do the region lock as well, right? Like, so right now I have the PlayStation, it won't work with British or American cards.
On certain ones.
Switch.
On it was certain games. So like, I remember my brother was out in America at the time when the 2DS came out, the silver one. And he just happened to be in New York. So I was like, right, go and get me one, please. And he brought one back. So it was an American version. I just had to get an English style plug because we've got different plugs, different voltage and all that. And basically that was not region locked, so you could play anything on it. But I had it about 8 months before anyone else. So I used to walk around showing people that, and everyone was like, "What is this?"
8 months before anyone else.
Because it didn't come out here. Didn't come out in
the UK. You should have dumped the ROM for the community.
Yeah.
So I had a friend of mine that had a PlayStation. He only got, I think it's only like something like 6 months. It wasn't like ages, but he was the first person I know to get a PlayStation 3. And he got a Japanese import. So he got a Japanese PlayStation 3. And whenever he had a game, because he had to then get all the Japanese games, he'd have to go in and change the language settings. But one thing I noticed is on there, the yes and no, like confirm and cancel, were the other way around. So I think for us, like X was always confirm and circle was cancel. But on the Japanese model, it's the other way around. So circle is yes and X is no, which kind of makes more sense to me in a way. Like circle yes and X is no. But we always used to have it the other way around. But he had the Japanese PS3.
Actually, the first introduction where I stopped being jealous of the West was so after 12, when my parents died and everything, I lived on my own, and at 15 I became a tattoo artist, and I moved to Akihabara in Tokyo at a tattoo studio after apprenticing for 2 years. But that was like in the middle of the heart of gaming, and I did the art apprentice under the Dragon Ball Z creator. Like at that time it was a Shinon manga, so it wasn't a TV show. It was very accessible. They made me sharpen the pencils for 1 year and just give papers to see the dedication, like I come on time or not. So in the nighttime, I was doing tattoos at the tattoo studio, and in the daytime doing this, because I wanted to move to creating stories and my own worlds rather than. So like he gave me the idea of this mixing mythologies that I do to this day. Like he mixed a lot of Chinese and Hindu mythology to design the at the time the both Dragon Ball Z and I think he already was working on the Dragon Quest at the time.
Yeah.
Although I didn't know about Dragon Quest at all, because it was in Japan, it was really hard to get an English copy, and I don't speak Japanese. I was there 5 years, but so you can't, like, you speak a little bit of Japanese to communicate, but you can't read, especially
it's really tough to do.
So there I was out of the, like, I would play the games, but it was like American import, which were like highly priced, while I was in the heart of the gaming though. So it was like irony. And then, yes, but they had like the best for the Zelda and everything, like those collector edition whole Nintendo that's like in the Zelda design. That's where I first saw one of these, and I'm like, wow, like you would just buy it to put it on your shelf one day when it's like I can afford it. So
okay, well so moving on from sort of getting into games, you started talking a bit there about like wanting to create stories and be creative. So what kind of then got you into games development a bit more?
So
and what stuff did you work on?
Being a tattoo artist, and I started actually I was doing animate keyframes for multiple studios in 2D animation. At the time, it was the days of Nickelodeon doing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, the first series, Cartoon Network. So I was the outsourced company that they gave to in Japan, who would do the keyframes and in-betweens of the animations. So I started doing that, and I would only do tattoos of like people that I already did before, who would come with like new designs and want me to interpret it. But people who would come with like off the internet, like I just want a copy paste of this, I'm like, no. So I got and then after being freelance as a 2D animator, I can't call myself 2D animator because I was only allowed to do in between keyframes. Like the art directors already in the West will have the main frames and the next main frame, and we were just supposed to transition it from this to this. So we didn't, like, I can't call myself animator. They did the hard work. We were just replicating their art guide. They made the Bible, sent to us, and we did that. After that, so I reached out to, they were making the browser games a lot. Nick, Cartoon Network, any new show comes, there's a game on their website, and they're promoting it a lot. And it was the Flash era, right?
Yeah, Flash.
Yeah.
Right, I remember that.
And I was going from, so we used to do with pencil on a light box for this 2D animation, and I bought a graphic tablet, and I'm like, I want to do the digital, right? Like it's the future. So I had a copy of Flash CS3, I think, CS3 or CS2, like the class. I actually still use the same software. I haven't upgraded. Like now it's called Adobe Animate something, but I still have that classic CS3. That's actually Last Spartan, half of it is drawn into.
Oh wow! Amazing. I remember when you said like Flash era. I do remember like.
Yeah, do you remember that?
I can't remember how old I was. It was probably like in our later years of school. Flash games were just like the done thing, and there's just loads of websites with Flash games.
Yes.
I can remember there was a thing that was quite popular at the time called Shockwave. There's like
download
an app called Shock Machine or something.
3D games in the Flash, and Flash was like animation, 2D drawing tool, and then if we use ActionScript, that was the coding language built inside, so we could code. So there, I actually won't say the company, but it's one of the mainstream cartoon channels. I told because through my company, the upper higher ups, I have the contact. I'm like, hey, can I try making one free game for this new show you have, which I think will be better than what you outsource to the studio. They're like, okay, you want to do it alone? I'm like, yes, because I'm really passionate. So I did it. They loved it. The gameplay was nice. They were like, okay. So they started giving me direct gigs to make this 2-3 like mainstream games. It was Kim Impossible was coming at the time, if you remember. It was even I vaguely, and Powerpuff Girls, there was like about 20 games, out of those 1 or 2. And then I started like in between those gigs, it was enough to sustain, do the Newgrounds, like post everything on the Newgrounds that are away from like that's already been created, right? Like I wanted to always create my own stuff. So that was like Newgrounds. At that time, there was a website called FGL, Flash Game License. So you'll make a game, you'll put it on the website, and this websites that you said that popped up, right? So these, actually, I'm wearing a shirt of one of these websites that's still alive. He's one of the investors who's been supporting me for like the last 10 years. It's called lagged.com to this day. Like they have like now it's HTML5 that's used for the web. But
Okay.
yeah, so there would so you upload the game, and it will be there for a week, and all these websites, which were basically publishers, would auction like, hey, for 500 I want exclusive license of this game. Hey, for $1,000 I want exclusive license for this game. And then after a week, whoever had the highest bid, well, the website like Armor Games, they will get the game.
There you go, lags.com. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And he's actually one of the investors in the biggest supporter and investor of the Spiele and Last Spartan. So
it's funny you mentioned Powerpuff Girls, because I've literally just started watching that again a couple of weeks ago because I've got two daughters and they wanted to watch some old cartoons. Like I thought, they might like Powerpuff Girls because they're girls. I thought they might get behind that, and they really liked it. So I've just been finished watching like the first season of Powerpuff Girls like a couple of days ago. So it's just
I remember when that came out. I remember like back in the day on Cartoon Network there was like 6 or 7, like was it Dexter's Lab?
Dexter's
Dexter's Laboratory, Cow and Chicken, and Powerpuff Girls. Like, they did
Johnny Bravo.
Yeah, because they had a series called Cartoons. Yeah. And that series, each episode was a pilot for a new series, and then I think you could vote.
What was it called? Cartoon.
Yeah, it's called Cartoons, and they had one episode would be completely new show, and then at the end of that series, they then said, right, these shows are now going to be made into full series, and that I think Powerpuff Girls, Dexter's Laboratory, Cow and Chicken, and Johnny Bravo, I think all came from.
So that was like their test, like the test.
They were like pilots.
Yeah,
was there Adult Swim around at the like? Of course, in our country, it was not.
I think
there was just Jetix and Disney Toons or something, and Cartoon Network.
Yeah. So we did have Adult Swim. I think was on a channel called Bravo in the evenings. Then they had the more adult.
So it's been there like from the. Because I only got introduced as an adult with Rick and Morty and everything, and I'm like, so after 9 p.m. Cartoon Network switch into Adult Swim every day, right?
I don't think that was right for us, but I think that was possibly in America because our one Cartoon Network was just Cartoon Network, but Adult Swim was on another channel called Bravo. But I think we knew it was like the same studio.
The licensing thing, right? Like now I'm watching House of Dragons on Sky rather than HBO because in Europe they have the rights and Sky is British, right?
Yeah.
So we are watching it on Sky, the House of Dragons. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, so am I. I'm watching it as well.
It's quite funny looking at those programs, like going back and seeing some of the old Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network cartoons as like an adult. Some of them, like they just got away with so much stuff. Like Rocko's Modern Life is probably the worst one. Like they had loads of innuendos in it, and like was in Cow and Chicken, all the characters never had any like trousers on, and they'd always have their bums out, and they're just like literally bums on the screen all the time.
There was this one clip I watched where there was like, in the Dexter's lab, there's like a lot of course, fun, creepy theories about it that like the dad knew about the lab, the dog was like dreaming, or like even for Pokemon, the creepypasta shit. It's like fun, right? So then you like go back and like Gravity Falls became famous because it did the same thing. It replicated what the classic Hanna-Barbera, like after the Hanna-Barbera, the generation, the Dexter, the Johnny, all of these did.
And so I can remember watching Ren and Stimpy because I think Ren and Stimpy originally was on MTV. And I think I only found this out later because I've seen a few episodes on MTV that were a bit more adult. And then I think Nickelodeon bought the rights to it and started having it on Nickelodeon. But they could only show certain episodes that was heavily edited. And then I think the later seasons were a bit more kid-friendly. But the earlier ones that I used to catch on MTV were not really appropriate for children, I think, in a lot of ways. They're quite
I was allowed only about until like 12, until the parents were there. So I was only allowed 1 hour every day because I'm not like a study person, but if I wouldn't even have the book, I would trade them for something. But in that 1 hour I would choose to watch Beyblade and Pokemon. Those two were coming at the same time, the first season of Beyblade.
I think I missed the boat on Beyblade. I used to watch Pokemon and quite a lot. And so there's a channel we had called Toonami. And it was
you guys had the whole anime channel, right?
Yeah,
ours was on Cartoon Network, 1 or 2 episodes. And One Piece also was coming at the same time, but they stopped showing after one season, just randomly dropped it.
No. Yeah.
So we didn't have the Toonami.
Like nowadays we've got things like Crunchyroll and there's the stuff on Netflix. It's really accessible now. It's really easy to watch anime. But when back then it was like
hardly any, was it?
You would have some
your mate would buy a DVD or something.
Anime film at like 3 o'clock in the morning if you set your VCR up to record.
You're lucky,
it. And then you got on on Toonami. You then had things like Dragon Ball Z, Digimon, and like what was that one with the wrestler? I can't remember his name now. There's like a one with that wrestler some super muscle something. I can't remember what it's called now. But yeah, there's a handful of anime shows on there that we then sort of got access to.
And you would have to have your day schedule around it. Like if it's gonna come at 2 p.m, you have to get home from school quick, and then afterwards hang out with friends. But you have to catch the show.
Catch the show, because if you didn't watch it, you'd lose it.
Lost it, You never watched the series in the actual right order, did you? You just got home and you're getting random episodes every now and then. You were like, I don't know what's going on.
Oh yeah, that was one of the good things. They would play the random episodes when they have nothing to air, like of the Doraemon and all those shit.
We did actually have a very short-lived channel on digital TV. I can't remember what it's called now. I think it was literally just called like the Anime Channel or Anime Central, I think it's called. And the only problem with that was it was really, they had some really good content on there, but this wasn't enough because it was like a 24/7 anime channel, and they would have a time slot for a show. And I think they were showing like Bleach, Cowboy Bebop, and like a handful of others, but it's mostly Cowboy Bebop was just on all the time.
They had the Cowboy Bebop and this actual mainstream anime, Death Note, and all those, rather than the Animax in the UK.
Yeah, and they had. I think they
we had a Toonami. Ours was called Toonami.
Yeah, no, we had Toonami, which was like more the kids stuff. But then Anime Central was like a channel that came a few years later. But I don't think it survived. Didn't last very long. No, they had like Bleach was on there, and I was a really big fan of Bleach. But the problem was at that time slot, they showed the same episode of Bleach every night for a week, and then the following week they would show the same episode again every night, and it just they were only showing it weekly, but they didn't have enough content to fill.
It was like how this streaming service are doing now, like one new episode every week. So they had to wait for that, so they will just repeat it, right?
Like the new X-Men.
Next one comes from Japan.
Yeah,
and gets dubbed as well, right? Because it would be not just dubbed as into English.
Yeah.
So you were saying about tattoos. You got any gaming tattoos?
Gaming tattoos.
Yeah, I reckon you have.
Yes. There's the first Rick and Morty, which is Rick playing Bubba Lubba Dub Dub.
Nice, yeah.
And so I've hidden the gaming tattoos in between, like all the other stuff. So it's actually one from, I can't remember the show, but it's a banana that's peeling off its pen. So it's about censorship, right? So wait. Okay, got it. He's throwing away his pens, and that was like actually a short clip that used to come in between the ad breaks. And it was a funky banana that would do stupid shit. And and my favorite, the Godzilla, but in my doodle style, where he's destroying the city.
Oh
nice. Yeah. That's cool.
So not really gaming, but there is Godzilla game, although not good ones. But Godzilla was my favorite growing up, because he taught me about this gray area, right? Like keeping the main protagonist into this gray area of good and bad. Like they don't have to be completely good or completely bad, because that makes it boring. Perfect world is boring. Like in a game, we want this chaos because chaos is fun. In our lives, if everything would be perfect, we would get bored of it. So Godzilla was my introduction to gray area characters, because we never knew because when they make a Mecha Godzilla, he turned bad. There was like conflict, and as a kid, you only think of black and white, and he thought of the gray perspective. So that was like where I'm like started liking like Heath Ledger's Joker and all these more and more, like what makes them tick. And as a storyteller and director, it really helped a lot. So after that one, the tattoo artist and doing all the apprenticeship, at those time, like now, when in our studio we get like so many internship or job applicants, they all have like bachelors in game design, bachelors in game programming. In our times, there was none. The only way to be a game developer was you wouldn't even get apprenticeship. Just make games on Newgrounds and stuff, have a portfolio, keep sending it to people, and like just like how I'm like, okay, through my animation studio that they outsource to, I asked the contact email of that, and at that time many people spammed. Now you cannot reach these big companies. Like we had to showcase Last Spartan last year at Gamescom to get big, get recognized, to even open the doors for the studio to survive now 2 years.
Yeah. Well, should we move on then to talk about the origins of that studio? So what made you start the studio and how is it
after being
about?
12 years in AAA, starting as a game artist to tech lead, moved to tech lead because I was really fascinated throughout by the technical side of it all, the programming and everything. Because when I made the Flash games, I was doing everything, right? Art, coding. So I always wanted to continue doing both of these. So as from artist to lead artist, then technical artist, where I was mixing art and technology, making shaders, making the unique cell shading style looks or unique rendering. Like I didn't do Gears of War, but I'm saying like, for example, Gears of War, that 300 stylus. So all of these were then technical artists, and right after that was co-director and director. My main games were all on PSP. They would give me only sideline PSP games to direct, which I would actually come up with better, like wanted to make, I won't say the IP name because they are still good. It's a AAA company who still supports us, and they're amazing people, but board of directors never want to take a chance. So they would ask us to take this Xbox version and just minimize the textures and cut off the parts of the level that are just too heavy to process and put it. And I'm like, what if we do it completely in the 2D, more like a Metroidvania-esque Assassin's Creed, let's say?
Yeah.
But it's risky, so it was. And then afterwards, moved here, Frankfurt, the Crytek. So, and then moved myself to Berlin because Frankfurt is boring. Frankfurt is like the business hub of the Germany, and it's so boring. Berlin was nice. So 6 years ago, Berlin, and then I just did some consultations. 2 years ago, started the bar Spiele because it was time to start finally making my own games again, like in the Flash days.
I think when you're saying about PSP games and that, you're right. Like, if you could restructure it and do it, like, do you know what I mean? You're coming from a gamer's point of view. You know what you're talking about. So, like, them games that I know you're talking about, them games that just have been cut to ribbons, and
because you know all this mainstream. We used to have like all the movies, their game will come out before that, and if we could direct it as a game, not replicate like the movie one-on-one, like how the new Insomniac Spider-Man did. We were not allowed to do that back in the day. We had to do it this specific way, and I would like, for gameplay perspective, we have to do it this way because exploring this place just like it's boring. As a game designer, we have to make from players point A to point B, the journey fun, the destination that we don't care. And they would be like, no, you just have to put the cinematic moments in the game and ship it. Our name will sell it.
As a gamer, I would always prefer, if there's a game like based on a film or a franchise, to play like a unique story for the game that's not just playing through the movie. Like, give me
it could be prologue or epilogue, right? It could be
exactly.
Which now they have taken in, but during my times it was they never thought it from the gameplay perspective. So all the good games were like Crash Bandicoot, and then Spyro, and then the Ratchet and Clank, and then all the Sony games and Xbox, Gears of War, Halo. But no big IP game got ever like a good gameplay Metacritic score, because they never allowed innovation. They were like, use the name and sell the game, and like Jurassic Park game.
Didn't we have the Oliver twins on, and they done the game for the Bad Boys? I always laugh about this. They weren't allowed to use, was it the names of the actual characters?
The likeness as well. They
only weren't allowed to
use the likeness. Oh, this looks nothing like Will Smith. Like, actually, we weren't allowed to make it look like Will Smith.
Basically, all they had was the name of the game. That was it. They didn't even know what the game, like the film, was about. Nothing. They basically were just told, you've got to make a game of Bad Boys, and you can't make it look like
before the film. So they didn't even have the screening of the film, and they are supposed to make a game based on the script, right?
One of the things they said, I thought was quite fun as well, is they worked on a Ghostbusters 2 game, and they're like, well, okay, we've seen Ghostbusters 1, and all they could see was the script. So they'd never seen the film, they'd just seen the script for the film, and they had to make the game. And I said that is why in the Ghostbusters 2 game they worked on, the ooze in it is green, not purple or pink, because it didn't send the script what color the ooze was. So they just made all the slime was green because there's slime. But obviously when the film came out, they're like, oh, the slime is purple. It's like, they could have told us it's like pink, purple slime. But that's why, because they were never told. So they just had to make it based off of that.
How much did the director of the movie or the writer of the movie intervened with their studio developing the game? Like, did they have like a final say? Like, they would have to get it reviewed by them?
I don't know. Well, I think by the sounds of it, the process is quite rushed. Like, they
I've never done a movie game.
I think like they only get so much, but the idea is that the game is being developed while the movie's being promoted, and it comes out around the same time. And it's quite funny because a few times some plot points have been like where we're now all connected on the internet and people share stuff. I've seen a few articles where like some plot points in films have been revealed because the games come out before the film. And people have got further in the game, and then the plot point of the film has been like leaked, and then there's a news article on it, and it gets shared around. So it's all about getting it out on time. So I don't know how much the film studios have a say in it. I think it is getting the brand out.
Even this day, so I was at this convention, Games Ground, in Berlin last year. This game, amazing game, puzzle game, only sold about 300 copies on Steam, but it was published by AMC, created by two guys, like French studio, good friends, and AMC just put two people, made a game division, AMC Games, because they were like Netflix games is going, Amazon is making games, so they will publish games as well. And on Steam, it's still there, and it's just 300 copies, and that's it. Because they were like just two people put, and like they have no idea what games are, how to promote indie games, how to get them in front of influencers, and it's actually a really fun game. But the AMC's good thing was they are releasing them of the publishing license after a year, so they can relaunch it and a different publisher and get the truth. So I think it was the same mentality, even worse before. They would just appoint one random person who is extra from Universal side to oversee the game, right? They're like, okay, you like games, right? Go oversee it. Just make it in line with the movie. I think they always did it half-heartedly. Their main priority was movie. Game is just, like you said, promotion, a PR material, not the main thing.
Yeah. Cool. So let's move on to talk about Last Spartan, Glory Over Madness. And I think it'd be a good time to look at the game trailer. So I'm just going to add my screen
When you do the game trailer, I quickly get the 2 keys to redeem for the Gamescom.
Okay, great. If I do, I think that's right. Allow. Let's go up. Oh no, that's not. That's the. I never do this right. There we go.
There you go.
There we go. There we go.
The art style looks amazing.
Thank you. It's heavily inspired from Hellboy and Dark Horse Comics and Darkest Dungeon.
Oh, nice.
I thought so. Yeah, definitely Dark Horse Comics. So I used to get all the Mass Effect ones.
Yeah. And I first did all the art in the Flash for the thick strokes, and it's using actual vector technology. The game engine is also mine. I wrote the whole game engine.
That's amazing.
That's the fun, right? Like having your own studio. I use like old Flash technology still, and no one's there to say no. You should use Unity or Unreal. I'm like, nah. Why?
Do what you want,
yeah.
But it gives you that 300, that Spartan vibes. It does look so good. Do you know what I mean? It's got nice, not like, do you know what I mean? It's got a bit of gore as well.
Can you ask in the chat if they would like season tickets or visitor tickets? I don't know the difference between the. I'll just give them the whole exhibitor pass.
Yeah, look at that.
Are you guys getting sound for this as well? Yeah.
No, he didn't show the sound.
I'm getting sound in my ear. I don't know why it doesn't work for me. Can I do? I don't know why it doesn't give sound when I do it.
Because there's a little click in audio. You go share audio when you.
Yeah, I thought I had done that.
But there's Last Spartan, Glory Over Madness.
Okay. Yeah, apologies. I've not shared the sound. I thought that was going through. Cool. But yeah, that's. I'm going to remove that now. I'm going to take that off there. Cool. I'll definitely have to start learning how to share the sound properly, because I think every time I share a trailer, it doesn't get through. Well, the other thing as well, I was going to have let me bring up the. If I share my screen again and show on here, and then you've got the your website here. We've got the wishlist. So it's coming to Xbox and PlayStation and Switch. Is that iPhone, or is that going to be Apple?
For iOS, because Apple's actually supporting a lot. They invited me to their European new headquarters, where they were like, when we launch, they will feature it on them, because it's of course Steam is the first platform it will come to, and will patch everything, because it's really hard to fix any bugs on the PlayStation or Nintendo because of the slow process of re-releasing fixes, and they reviewing everything over weeks, and it will take months. So it's like for the first 2 months to perfect the games, any nooks and crannies, because when thousands of people are playing it, more bugs come out than in the small QA group. So on the Steam, it's on PC, Mac, and Linux. So on the Mac App Store, it will be like featured on the top front page, and the same for the iOS. So they are doing this try before you buy. You can play for 1 hour for free, and then you have to pay the premium, the same price as the Steam, to get the game. And after 6 months, 7 months, we will get it on the Game Pass and Apple Arcade, or through
amazing.
Yes.
It's just a bit of gameplay here.
And actually, this 1.5-year-old gameplay. Like, I don't know if there's an option to share the screen, but I could show the latest one.
Yeah, if you go into Hang on. If you go into the middle, it says present. You click on that and then click share screen. And then you click which one's open.
Okay, finally got the ticket codes done.
Okay, so you're saying you've been nominated as well on here. We've actually got...
Oh, yeah. Let's get the... Can we get the thing up from earlier? There we go.
So if everyone can go onto this link and vote for Last Spartan.
Yeah, guys. We thankfully got nominated by the jury for being one of the best indie game developers this year. At the Gamescom will be the award ceremony, and if you can vote, it will help the morale of the team a lot.
Yeah.
Just show that quickly as well.
Like you just have to go to the page, select us, Spiele, that's on top. It means bad games. In German, Spiele is games, so it's basically bad games, opposite of epic games, literally.
Okay, yeah. So there you go, Bad Spiel Studios. There are options on there.
And the ticket code's coming now. There we go. So now so these are like literal ticket codes. You just go to gamescom.com, go to redeem ticket code, and you put the code and you got the ticket. So I will give to you guys in the private chat, right?
Sure, and we'll promote that.
You give it to...
Yeah.
And you guys give it to the people. I have 1 cent.
There you go. I voted for you as well. Just done it.
Second one, sent. These are 2 codes. They can instantly redeem on Gamescom. So I don't think if you I don't know how to give it. So it's not a race that first person to redeem.
Yeah, we'll do a competition. Yeah, we'll put something out on our socials and have a competition on there, so we can get that out. So yeah, we'll do that.
And
as well.
If anyone,
and when do you redeem those codes? Then is that do you just go to the Gamescom site? Is it to redeem the codes?
Yes, you just go to gamescom.com and tickets, and there'll be redeem code option. It's the most expensive one. This gets you the whole access to the Gamescom. It's about 100 euros. So if you can make it to Gamescom, and if we miss out some more people and they have really good comments, I'll release more codes, because we would love to see them come play Last Spartan, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So I got a chance to play Last Spartan as well at WASD, so it was great.
So you saw, right, like at the WASD, but the trailer is that's like so old now. When you traverse the world, it's not from the top down. You're actually in the world, in the 3D, and you're traversing. And that time I told you that that's also 6 months old. Right, so this Gamescom is it's going to be, so I'm a perfectionist. So far, I've never even released a public demo on the Steam, right? And investors understand the support, because they are game developer, self-made millionaires before they are investors. So they have seen me grow and they know me like inside out. Like, yes, I will not release something that's good enough. I'll release something that's jaw-dropping. So now at the Gamescom, what you'll see and play, and it will be on the Steam as well, finally, public demo, is jaw-dropping. Yeah. And we have 2 more games demo playing at the Gamescom. One is...
and when's you currently expecting it to come out? So in Steam, it's saying it's due
November 1. So actually, our PR company has done it's a British PR company that Devolver used to use before they had in-house. And they have press embargo until 1 July. And end of July. And on the end of July, there'll be main website and PC Magazine's coverage announcing the release date, which is 1 November. for all platforms, like on the Steam, Epic Store, GOG, and there's one more store. It's a Korean. It's basically Steam but for Korea. It's made by Smilegate, the Lost Ark publisher. So they got Slay the Spire a lot of success in the Korea because people use there. So they are now curated launching games. So they made the offer to also put on their store. And within 2 months, after November, we are waiting. December, not doing anything after releasing the game. We can actually simultaneously launch on all platforms, but we don't because holiday seasons for more bigger games. No one wants like, hey, I want this indie game for my Christmas gift. They want probably some new Call of Duty or the mainstream. So holiday season is for AAA games. So that's why the 1 November window, right after Steam stops featuring us for the Halloween event. So we are selected for being featured throughout October. In September, we are featured for Tokyo Game Show, and before that for the Gamescom. And then we release on 1 November. We wait December, January. In February, it will be on all platforms simultaneously. 1 Feb. It will be on PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, everything. And by then, we would have had the time to hotfix all the main bugs, so you don't have any issues. And based on the love and feedback, let's see how the DLCs, there'll be like free expansions, because the game's whole premise is that it's like a true roguelike. You never repeat the enemies, you never repeat the boss fights, you always have new, and everyone's new, unique art in the same details, same animation, same level of love given, and the quality. And you see 300 of these. Actually, everything is 300, from dice faces, which are cards, to, because it's it's based on 300, right? So 300 is like an Easter egg plus a sweet number that no game has done. 300, 300, 300, 300. Another thing, publishers actually said like, oh, we want to publish it, reduce it to 100. I didn't want to have it published. I'm like, we'll self-publish it. That's true indie power, right? Why else are we indie? And we are going to do 300. Else we'll take more time. So we've been cooking since that trailer is like 2 years. So we've been cooking since, and now we are on the 200th. So 100 more to go by November.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Nice. That's a really good premise, because I'm quite into like my deck building games, so like physical card games, like the there's quite a few like Marvel ones.
Oh, and there's a board game version coming out after.
Okay.
Like next year. So right now it's being prototyped, and we're talking. So there's a Spiele. That's the biggest German board gaming manufacturer. Maybe, but right now the prototype is being built, because if you've already played the game, right? So it's like in game design, I still to this day, when I give any guest lecture or something, I always say, don't learn Unity, don't learn Unreal Engine, just design a game on paper. If it's fun with just pen and paper, it will be fun digitally with all the flash and all the eye candy that you'll add later on. So it actually is always designed as a board game. So instead of notes where you make the selection in the actual game like Slay the Spire, instead you'll be having cards that are laid out, and you just flip them, and you know what encounter you're having. When you're in the battle, you have this customized dice, which are actually magnet faces, and you can swap them, and you have and it will be a single player board game, a single player campaign, because I actually love single player board games. Don't know why. I always play board games single player, like like right now I'm playing the Arkham Horror, and the latest edition, and I play the single player campaign of it, because it's a horror game. It's like it's cosmic horror. You need alone time to think about, like have a glass of whiskey and just go in the Lovecraftian mood, right? So
I've got what's it called? Elder Sign.
Elder Sign.
Like
that's
Sign.
really
That's
fun
good.
single player, right? You just do control for investigators and play it alone. You get to choose and it really absorbs you. So I really like single player campaigns when the board games have it. So this one will be exclusively single player board game for people to do the same campaign in the board game version. Yes.
Awesome. We'll definitely keep an eye out for that as well. That's good. Cool. We've got a couple of questions from the chat. So we'll jump onto the chat for a couple of questions from Dave Neely Music. So you mentioned this earlier when talking about PSP. So is it easier working on PSP when you're no longer limited at making the resolution for a huge screen? Is that actually easier?
Yes, we can. It's so in the old days. Well, now what we do is like in my own engine and in the AAA and even in Unreal, we just do adaptive resolution, right? So in the old days when we had this cube monitors, you remember we would set like instead of 1980, we will reduce it to 1270 so it runs faster. So the same thing is with PSP. It had such a low resolution to optimize the game, but the game engines, the in-house game engines, didn't have that feature that we can just slide it down. So we had to recompress everything, repack, and the format was different. So it was compiled differently. So if all of those were processed easier, Xbox was the easiest platform to make for. They always made it very easy. They had the DirectX. So if you're developing, we all develop on computers. To Xbox, easiest. PSP had but no, it was easy. It was really easy to, it's just, you got very pixelated. I think if you remember the start of PSP, you will have like very pixelated 3D graphics, and that's because of that compression. But as it got further, we tried to do more high res, but screen doesn't allow. But that allowed us to have a good constant FPS always throughout the games. Like if I'm sitting and I'm thinking, all I remember is Metal Gear Solid, because that's not what I made. I played actually as a gamer, right? Because if I make something, I don't get to see it from a gamer's perspective. So as a gamer's perspective, I'm like Metal Gear, and I'm like, yeah, that was pixelated as hell. The Metal Gear for the PSP. I'm like, that might have as well been a Nintendo 64 game. So yes, so we reduced the resolution. It was easy to adapt, but it was never the same game that you have on Xbox. Like FIFA for Xbox or PlayStation is not same as the PSP FIFA. We remade the whole thing. There was no way to put it the same thing on the PSP. That's the sad part. Everything was remade. Art assets were reused and recompressed. So if it was in this generation, we were just like, now what we do, we reduce the resolution, we put it on Nintendo Switch. We don't remake anything.
Right.
Because that's, so yes. So we had to remake, but assets.
I've got another question from Dave Newland saying, same question as always. What are you looking for when finding a musician or soundtrack composer? I made music for movies. I would love to make music for video games. So I think it's just
so you guys can actually check out Audio Creatures. They are the composer for some of the tracks in Death Stranding, Ghost of Tsushima. They're personal friends. They're based out of Berlin. They actively work with outside freelancers and music composers. So I'll put the link here. And they do all our soundtrack, and the CEO and the main composer is my best friend. So please reach out to him, and I will push it if you have. Here we go. I'll put it in the private so you guys can post.
Yeah, sure. We'll get that over to Dave Newland. He's done a lot of jingles for us. He's our jingles man. So
just check out their website. They have composed for AAA to indies. They are and they actively work with like a huge force of freelancers. So if you have any portfolio, reach out to them better than us, because like I direct games. I'm not an expert on music. I know when I play, when Marcus, the CEO, and we put in the game and we're like, yeah, it hits the note. So for the main theme in the Last Spartan that we were blasting in the England, and the was done in the orchestra room here in Germany with the biggest, most famous orchestra with 300 people doing the violin and the whole thing, and then some tracks are just complete digital. So it will be really good to collaborate with them, and they're happy to work with you based on your portfolio rather than us, because I can only tell what fits in my game. I cannot tell what the process or everything, the technicalities, right? How you guys even make music. I don't know how to play guitar. So please reach out to Audio Creatures and they'll be happy. And just mention that Ankit Dhillon Bad Spiele told us. So they'll definitely write you back.
Excellent. And we've got one last question here from Blunners. He snuck one in there. What game are you playing at the moment? So what are you actually playing?
Actually, Alien Dark Descent. It's the new Alien game. It's a top-down, real-time with pose and play tactics, where you have like this 4 people, and you're like it's on Steam. I think many people must have seen it. It's I only play turn-based games like XCOM, but this one is like a close second. I'll post the link again. Alien Dark.
So what did you think of the South Park games, as you like turn-based games? What did you think of Stick of Truth?
It's amazing. It's turn-based. South Park is Stick
of the
Truth.
It's so funny. And the fractured butthole.
Oh no, the best thing was the character creator.
Yes, it was crazy. I could get away with that.
So as a non-white, I can say, like, when you slide the color, it's like it will affect every other aspect of your life but the gameplay. Yeah, so I'm playing this.
Oh wow, this looks great.
It has the Alien Spiele, it has strategy. I get to command my 4 people squad from the top as a... So I love that 20th Century Fox gave the studio so much freedom to go with this squad-based top-down tactics rather than going a AAA FPS or some bullshit game, and it turned out amazing. It's like before this I was playing Warhammer Demon Hunt, so it's like the good pause and play persistent. It's amazing.
Yeah,
and
really good.
when you're playing it alone, it's really nice. When the aliens come and there's a horde,
face
you make
grabbers.
noise.
And face grabbers always used to shit me up when I was younger.
I actually, after playing this, so last time I played this was 2 days ago. This weekend I played it. I have a 4-month-old, so in between weekends, I can't wait for him to grow up to start, like you said, Powerpuff Girls and stuff you watch, right?
My kids are only just getting to the age now. I'm trying to introduce them stuff I watch. So they quite like Ninja Turtles as well.
I have to like get him out of the room because I only play this dark stuff. So he gets scared from the sounds. So sometimes he's sitting on my lap, and I'm like take him because he'll have jump scares.
Yeah. Right. Thank you very much for coming on. And thanks everyone for watching. Please do give us a like to let us know you've been here, and give us a subscribe if you've stumbled across us while sort of rolling around in YouTube. And Ankit, is there anything you want to plug before we sign off? You got any socials that we can follow you on? Or
yes, just please type what you see on the screen, Bad Spiele Inc. I'll write it again. Wait. So, and please do vote. That will be really helpful. The website link I sent in the private, if you can post it in the public, and the voting link you already have there. So please vote for us and visit the website, wishlist the game. That's the best way to help us. And enjoy the Gamescom ticket codes when you guys visit Gamescom. And please only take, if you are coming to Gamescom, like you're based around UK, Europe, and like not in Australia. So sadly, like if you're in Australia, please
we'll do a competition where you got to show your screen.
Because I'm like,
you've got to show your screenshot of your actual vote.
Yes,
that's a good idea. Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah,
leave it for the people who can. And actually, in Australia, we are showcasing in this year's Melbourne Game Fest. So we will come there locally. So if you're in Australia, don't. Because Australia is our second biggest wishlist country. First is like US, second Australia, third Germany, of course. And then the rest is Europe. So I don't know why. So I'm like, we have to go. So I made an email to the government that organizes. I'm like, can I come and like have a speech or a presence? They're like, yeah, of course, come have a speech to the indie soundtrack and make them like, okay, perfect. So we'll bring the game to you. Leave the Gamescom thing for the people who can actually come.
Have you ever been there before? You ever been to Australia before?
No, never.
Oh, mate, no, neither have I. I'm a bit too scared of all the killer insects and all that. them face grabber spiders, mate.
I am scared of the snakes. I am really scared of the snakes. Yes.
Cool. Right. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much for having me on. And audience, amazing. Bye bye. Have a really good night, everyone. Cheers.
See ya. Bye bye.